Okay, very good. Here we are. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Between Two Teachers, where we talk about education issues nationwide, statewide, and locally as well. And it's things are heating up these days with elections coming, and there's a lot of school boards that are, in the races. So stay tuned and get out and vote and do your research, please. Find out who's the who's the best candidate. So today's Friday, October 21st. I don't know if I said that already, but my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And as always, I will begin with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Huichin, part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkin speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people, past and present. And we ask you to support the Justice for Muwekma program to try to make sure that the Ohlone people get on the Federal Registry of Tribes and get the benefits of being on that registry, which they've been kept off of for only political reasons for many years. So you can look up Justice for Muwekma and support curriculum that teaches the story of the Muwekma Ohlone tribes in the Bay Area and the story of Native Americans in general as part of our nation's history. And I'm going to call out again that curriculum lives on the website of the East Bay Regional Parks, and that's linked on our website as well. And we're also going to ask you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're looking for number 60. So I know a lot of people watch this and you may not be on YouTube, but if you are, or if you're willing to click over and find it, we would appreciate a like and a subscribe. So what is happening this week in education? The first thing I'm going to talk about is just this strange little off the wall thing that is happening, but it is happening all over the country. And so I don't want to just dismiss it completely. And what it is an urban myth. Now, bear with me if you haven't heard it, about litter boxes in schools. And it has become a GOP, a talking point in school board elections around the country. It's become a conservative talking point. And this talking point essentially comes from the role that gender politics plays now in school board elections. And by gender politics, I mean acceptance of trans, of children who are trans and who have gender identity questions, right? That is a thing that we now look at in our schools. It is the reality for many of our students. And I think it was always been a reality. It just wasn't recognized for what it was, right? And what we had was children who ultimately became suicidal, who became disruptive and certainly depressed, and many other characteristics, because their gender identity issues were never even recognized, not to mention resolved. There is such a thing. So this is about, to get back to this is about a group of folks who, just like who are in a fandom, people who are fans of different things. The people are sports fans, some people are fans of Star Trek or Marvel Comics, and some fans go to conventions and dress up as whoever it is they're fans of. And a subset of those kinds of fans, cultural fans who dress up and go to conventions, are furries. They're called furries because they dress up as furry animals. and they make the costumes themselves sometimes, or, I mean, to me, it sounds like Disneyland, where everybody's dressed up as, what is Mickey? Not a furry. But anyway, there's this world of furries, and this group has existed for many years. For whatever reason, somehow the fact that they exist and have been connected to folks with gender identity issues, the talking point that has come up in many different areas of the country around in school board races is that schools are putting litter boxes in their bathrooms because the children who identify as furries want to use a litter box.
Yeah, that's amazing, that they've taken a silly thing like this. It's just the acting out of, your favorite characters or whatever, and turn it into something perverse or
Yeah, and they have demonized these children, right? So you're not demonizing the students that are going to the Star Trek convention and doing the same, dressing up as a Star Trek character. You're not demonizing these other folks. You're choosing, these are the ones we're going to demonize. They're easier to make fun of. And now we're not just going to make fun of them, we're going to demonize them.
Yeah.
Right. And we're going to do it on all of these talk shows. We're going to do it and we're going to make it part of campaign, make it an urban myth. So this is now a myth. There are American voters who believe that this is happening in their schools and who are voting for candidates based on their position on this.
Oh my gosh.
This is an actual thing. So you can look it up. I mean, the two articles that I posted on our Trello are, there's one that says a flurry over furries in the Grand Ledge school board race, because in Grand Ledge, Michigan, this is a big issue.
Okay.
So, literally, people have to take a position on this, a public position.
Okay. Okay.
But what it comes from is their issues around bathrooms.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's really what we're talking about.
Yeah. Gender, bathrooms, that's what they're going after.
Right. And what they're doing is conflating a unisex bathroom and the importance of how bathrooms are assigned with a litter box. They just sort of bring that in to trivialize it. Right. Yeah. That's it. So just be conscious of the fact that in the grand scheme of what's going on in school board elections right now, this is part of it. This is part of it.
Bizarre. Very bizarre.
It is bizarre. Another thing that's happening in the Midwest is in St. Louis, or right near St. Louis, is a community called Hazelwood. And Hazelwood is having to close its schools. We've talked here about school closures for different reasons because of the hurricanes and other disruptions. This school is closing because of radioactivity from a weapons factory that was closed years ago. So this just tells you this is a really unusual reason to have to close a school. I don't think this has happened before, but they are, and it's an elementary school. And that just shows you the reason you close it is because you have no mechanism to fix it.
No.
None. Right?
How long has it been there, and how many children have been affected? And oh my gosh, that's gruesome. That's
right. No, it is. It's very.
It's probably a community of color.
Right.
That's usually what happens. Yeah.
Because we're talking about down from the plant, right? Who lives near the plant? That's generally, who's on the fence line of the plant. Yeah. Right. We see it here with refineries and any other kind of plant, right? It's not the fence line folks are a different set. I did want to say for the California voters, most of whom are who are watching this, the biggest thing on the ballot for all of us in California, for me, if you get past the various issues that we have, is Prop 28. And I'm going to continue to talk about Prop 28 and hope that it will pass to preserve arts and music, to create a funding stream for arts and music for the children of California that has never existed. Right. And we have so many reasons to have it. I mean, it certainly is one of our major industries. So from the standpoint of the economy of the state, this should definitely be something that's included. But it also supports STEM. People are concerned that, you know, this will take away from STEM. Arts and music builds creativity in our children. Right. It supports the work they do in science and technology.
Yeah, yeah. It's just really vital to self-expression, to the creative mind, and CTE, of course. There's jobs that, I mean, there's just so many ways, and it also is used as a way of healing. It can, you know, it's just so positive. It's also, for some kids, a way of learning, because
Absolutely.
there's a learning, you know, children have different learning styles, and through learning through art is one of the best ways. And so I hope
So vote yes on 28. Between Two Teachers is big on 28. That is our big thing for the upcoming election for all of you in California.
Absolutely.
Now go ahead and tell us what's happening at the county. What's new?
Yeah. Well, last Wednesday we had our Contra Costa County Board of Education regular monthly meeting, and a couple of good presentations about adult education that's for our incarcerated youth. And I'm hoping to go visit those programs. It sounds like they're doing a lot of good things there, I think. And also on career and college. So yeah, a lot of things are happening. And November 16th, that'll be our next board meeting. And then on November 16th, and then December 14th is when hopefully I will be sworn in as the board president. So I'm looking forward to that. That's good. One of the things we did was that we passed a Homeless Youth Awareness Month resolution, which is really great. And it really coincides with what we did today. And that's our Concilio Latino. We had the topic of homelessness in our community. It's such a important issue, and it's just very difficult and many layers to it. And
Right.
there's so many people working in different places. We use the word silos a lot, and we just need to come together and agree, and we need some kind of convening, because today's conversation about homelessness, I think that was the first time I've heard people come together and talk about homelessness seriously, and not argue about it like NIMBY kind of, you know, don't put them here, don't put them there, but talking about best practices. So
yeah,
that was really good.
The best practices, that is the main thing. There are best practices. And it doesn't mean that everyone, that, you know, you just want to go out and copy everything other people have done, because it's not necessarily going to be 100% fit. But certainly one of the main practices that was brought up was a campus, a setting where folks who are experiencing homelessness would be able to move to, that would have huge numbers of support systems. He was saying that there are 102 different community providers and networks of them available on site on a campus, where you would also have an area where there would be housing where folks could live. And the thing about that strategy is that it has definitely been successful in Texas. It has definitely been successful. And it sort of is the ultimate wraparound, right? It is the fact that there is a network there and there is no way to slip through it.
Yes. Yeah.
Because we're here with you.
Yeah.
Right?
All those service providers right there on site where you can go and get help and so what an amazing thing. That's
it's a community, right? And it's not saying, it's not looking at what the other strategy that I see being used is offering a member of the homeless community a place to live, but they pull them out of the community. Now they're by themselves in a motel, and maybe they are given the opportunity to call a provider, but that's the level of support is very different than if you're moving to a community where everybody is there together. It's just very different.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny because one of them had the philosophy of community first. So yeah, they don't recognize it. These homeless people come together and they do create community. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's happened in each of these, when we have the encampments, that is what's happened. They became communities, but the solution was not to move them as a community, but to break up the community.
yeah, yeah. So that's not going to work because it just comes back. It just comes back. And specifically what we're concerned about our homeless youth and identification of those youth in our county. And as our resolution here says, there's over 2,200 students identified by schools in this county as homeless or living in unstable living conditions. And we know that if that's the case, they're more likely to be students who repeat a grade, who go into special ed, or to drop out of school. So they are highly at risk. And we do have we have a program, we should have a whole department, a program that does help connect the schools and school districts with resources that are out there. Apparently not giving any direct service to students as far as I could see, but connecting the different organizations that are out there, mostly federal, state, and some professional development for personnel, and also regarding the community about the educational rights and services provided to homeless students. Now that's something we're going to look into. We're going to bring forward. What are those rights and services? And what are the actions that could be tagged onto this homeless resolution or another part 2 resolution? Because just recognizing it and just increasing awareness, that's not enough. That's like you're sending your thoughts and prayers when they do that. So no, we got to be more proactive in this. So, but yeah, that's a really big issue and it's not going away. People, we need to do something about this.
And one place to find an answer is with the students themselves. All right, that's why I wanted to talk about it. It has struck me that finding a place for student voice is very difficult. And even when it is set up, the state of California, Assemblywoman Luz Rivas of District 39 last year passed something called the California Youth Empowerment Commission. And it turns out that today, the 21st, is the last day to apply for this year. But I've only just learned about it, but what struck me about this commission is that it's a commission, a state commission. This is a state commission that state legislators are going to listen to because they want to hear student voice. It's a state commission that will have 13 individuals who must be between 14 and 25. So there's 13 of them. Out of the 13, 5 of them must have experienced a physical disability, youth homelessness, which is exactly what we're talking about here. We have 2,000 children who are in that situation, foster care, or juvenile incarceration. Now, this is a really important thing. They get $100 a day and they get their travel expenses paid for serving on the commission. But the important thing about the commission is they are looking for answers or for issues from the students themselves. And it's so hard to find organizations that are successfully reaching out to students. And I'm going to follow this group and their meetings, and I'll post everything I can about them. And we need to make sure that Contra Costa children have the opportunity to serve on this statewide commission,
Absolutely.
right? Because right now in Contra Costa, I couldn't find a county commission, youth commission. There are certain cities that have them. There are certain cities that have youth commissions that are not operating. And I think the same thing is true with school districts. There are some that have them and they're operating, and some don't have them operating.
Yeah.
And the two that are best practices, I'll just call out the one of the big ones is San Francisco. San Francisco has a youth commission that apparently that was written into their charter. So there is funding, there is a department, and it is funded. And what they have is an effort to the 22-23 San Francisco Youth Commission. They've taken their applications. They have 17 youth from San Francisco between the ages of 12 and 23. So you can be a middle schooler and be on their youth commission. They develop leadership skills, engagement in advocacy, and uplift their own community needs. They're working on, and they've done this. They put vote 16, be able to vote at 16. It's been on the ballot 2 or 3 times already in San Francisco, and it's lost. It's been on, that's why it's been on, and I think they're going to bring it back. It lost by 3% the first time. It lost by 1% the second time, and there's a conversation around putting it on again. They've worked on free muni fees for all youth, and they have ongoing conversations and ongoing opportunity to work with them. So there is a real effort to elevate youth voice in San Francisco. And the other one that I found that is working and has current meetings and is active as a county is the San Mateo County Youth Commission. They are active, right? So there really is no reason for every county not to have one.
That's it. So
that's what it comes down to, right? These counties are showing it works. And so that what happens is if your students are feeling left out, well, find them a place where they can be heard.
Yeah, there needs to be a place and process for them, for their voice.
Right. Right. So that was my big thing. I just wanted to lift them up because I thought that there's tremendous efforts that they have great wisdom and they know what's happening today. And it's a big shame not to ask them.
Absolutely. All righty. Good.
So there's that. Then the other thing I wanted to mention, as far as a shout out, the one other thing that I went to this week was a something on climate change, a symposium on the California extreme heat. Right. So the number one greatest danger, the number one cause of death and the greatest danger in California is extreme heat. Wow. Climate change, of all the things having to do with climate change. And so I will post this to this symposium, and the symposium also spoke about all of the issues around children and climate and children and extreme heat and schools and what efforts are being made to, and there's a lot of work being done. If you listen to the long symposium, it had a lot of different ideas, and I absolutely applaud everybody who's involved in it because there is a tremendous amount of work being done. But we need to elevate it and talk about it because it's not hot today. People are forgetting that.
Yeah. Ooh, it's definitely a topic we need to, it's affected us so much.
It has, and it's not going away. I mean, it is being addressed. There are lots of people working on it, but we cannot take any of that for granted. We have to continually look at it as the enormous threat that it is for all of our families, and that climate change is not just because the weather is okay today and you don't have smoke issues and you don't have heat issues doesn't mean that they're not going to come back, but they can be managed. And actually there are things that can be done to move the needle the other direction, but you have to make the investment and be intentional to do it. So my shout out is the people who ran this symposium, which was an extraordinary thing. Who was it who ran it? It was the folks at the California Natural Resources Agency and a group called Climate Resolve. And it was like a 9 a.m. to 3:30 event. So there was a lot of information in it. But I've posted it and anybody can, that's still up on YouTube. That's the wonderful thing about YouTube. It's right next to us on YouTube.
Yeah,
So-
that's great. Well, shout out to them. That's good work.
Shout out to them.
Very good. Okay.
And that's it for me.
For us, yeah.
All right. Remember to vote yes on 28th.
All right. Bye-bye.